Welcome to the city.
Hit the button, Richard. Your mic.
I always forget about that. Are you ready?
On TV.
Yep, we're ready.
Okay. Welcome to the City of Treasure Island Planning and Zoning Board meeting for September 18th, 2025. If you wish to speak on a topic which is on today's agenda, a speaker's card is available at the table over by the entrance and must be completed and given to the chairperson. Please do not address the board from your seat, but rather from the podium where your comments can be heard by all and recorded as required by Florida statute. Unscheduled items may be presented under the public comments section of the agenda. Okay, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if everybody would please silence their cell phones so we don't get interrupted, as usually happens at least once. Come on, phone. There. Could we have a roll call there, Tia?
First, we have to start off with the oath of office for Valerie.
I was going to do that, too. I was just doing it out of order, but I forgot. We do have a new board member today, Valerie Akery. Welcome to the board. And we need to swear her in, then we'll swear in the audience.
Yes.
Is that the way you want to do it?
Oath, roll call, then swear in all audience.
There you go. Okay, sounds good.
Don't forget to press the button on your mic, 'cause I don't know if they told you. It has to be green. If it's green, then it's on. Go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Valerie Akery,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I will well
that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties on the Planning and Zoning Board
the duties of the Planning and Zoning Board
and local planning agency
and local planning agency
of the City of Treasure Island, Florida,
of the City of Treasure Island, Florida,
on which I'm about to enter.
of which I'm about to enter.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will get back in order then. Now we'll have the roll call.
Valerie Akery. Gary Potenziano.
Here.
Ross Sanchez.
Here.
Chris Downing.
Here.
Grant Smith.
Here.
Marvin Shavlin.
Here.
Richard Harris.
Here.
Thank you.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody gets to vote today because Mark's not here as well. All right. Election of chair and vice chair. I will say that this is my last year on the board. I've enjoyed let's see, I'm up to 12 years now. This will be my 12th year. I'd like to throw my name in as chair for one last year. And if somebody else wants to do it, they can throw their name in as well. But I would just like to say, go out with a bang as the chairman.
I think that we've accomplished a lot together as a board with Richard as the chair, and I'll make a motion to let him carry on for another year. I don't know if we have to have a discussion about it for the city attorney or.
So what you'll open nominations essentially,
Okay.
and anyone can nominate anyone. If there's a second, then you move to discussion, and several people can be nominated,
Okay.
and then ultimately you vote in order of the nominations if there's multiple people. And I recommend doing a chair and then a vice chair separate.
I will make a nomination of Richard Harris to remain as the chair for one more year.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
So I'd like to make an alternative nomination.
Okay.
So I would nominate Chris Downing as chair.
Okay.
Well, if you're going to, I appreciate that. I guess I'll do a second nomination for vice chair for Grant, just so, if that's appropriate at this point. Are
we
going through the first?
haven't gotten a,
Recommend, although, I'm doing probably chair first and then vice chair, just for simplicity to keep it clear.
Yep.
But so you are allowed to second his motion if you're on your nomination, and then what you would do is you would vote first for, and if a majority has already elected a chair, then obviously you wouldn't go to the second, but if you have.
Sure. I guess if no one else is going to second, I'll do my own second.
Okay.
I'm going to
Okay, we
nominate
have
Ross as a chair, vice chair.
well, let's do one complete first.
Fine.
We're doing the chairman first, and then we'll go for the vice chair. So we have a nomination by Ross Sanchez for me with a second
Me.
from Gary. We have a nomination for Chris Downing and a second by Grant Smith and a second by Christopher Downing. And any others? Seeing none, let's have a roll call vote then for chair.
Are we starting with, for Richard Harris?
Yes, in the order of nomination, so that would be first, and if he doesn't receive a majority, then you move to the second name.
Just call the roll call and just announce whoever you want to vote for.
Valeria Cree? Gary Potenziano?
Richard Harris.
Ross Sanchez?
Richard Harris.
Chris Downing?
Chris.
Grant Smith?
Chris Downing.
Marvin Shavlin?
Richard Harris.
I guess that'd be a no.
Richard?
Yeah, I'll vote for myself. Okay. Looks like 5-2. Thank you very much for your support. With that, I'm going to keep things rolling the same way they are. Ross Sanchez for vice chair.
Second.
Okay, any others? Anybody else for vice chair?
Did somebody already nominate?
Yeah, I guess I'll nominate Grant as vice chair, just so we have a choice in the mix here.
And could I have a second on that?
I will have to second my own nomination.
That's allowed, yeah. People
Okay.
sometimes don't do it because it seems funny, but it's certainly allowed, yeah.
It's sad.
Okay, we have two applicants, or two candidates. They've both been nominated and seconded. Can we have a roll call vote for vice chair?
Valeria Cree? Gary Potenziano?
Ross.
Ross Sanchez? Mm-hmm. Chris Downing?
I'll vote for Ross on this.
Grant Smith?
I'll vote for Grant Smith on this one, yes.
Marvin Shavlin?
Ross.
Richard Harris?
The one correction, Valerie, you actually mentioned Chris Downing. Who the applicant is Grant Smith and Ross Sanchez.
Chris Smith, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Grant Smith.
Grant Smith.
Okay, Grant Smith. And just to make sure I'm getting them all right, Gary was Ross, Ross was Ross, Chris was Ross, Grant was Grant, Marvin?
I was Ross.
Ross, and I will vote for Ross. So thank you very much. Ross Sanchez is also the vice chair for
Thank you.
another year.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have the city attorney review the Sunshine Law and Public Records Law if you have any comments.
Just quick overview. I think obviously the returning members are very familiar with it, but you can't talk about with fellow board members outside of a publicly advertised and noticed meeting. You can't talk about issues that are before the zoning board or may come before the zoning board. And so that's the biggest aspect of the Sunshine Law. And then also Florida has broad public records under Chapter 119 and others, but known collectively as the Sunshine Law. And so just understand anytime you have discussions or conversations that are in written form, that those are, if they're about city business, then those are generally subject to public records, even if they're on private, like a mobile device, that kind of thing, if they're about city business. One of the things I'd also just, one other caveat, is because some of these zoning meetings are quasi-judicial, that you typically want to let people know if you've had what's known as ex parte outside of this publicly advertised meeting. It's allowed. You're certainly able to have those. You just want to put it on the record, hey, I had a conversation with the applicant about the meeting. In fact, you can meet with them, you can have a conversation, better understand. That's all totally legal. You just have to say, outside of this meeting, I met with or had communication with the applicant, and that just creates a public record for notice that you had that ex parte communication, if that makes sense.
Or with somebody else?
Correct.
Not just the
yes.
applicant.
Yes. Anyone essentially, but typically it happens with an applicant or a representative of an applicant wanting to meet with you and discuss the project ahead of time. But yeah, if somebody, and if like you get emails on this or that type of thing, you can just collectively say, I've received several emails from different folks, and kind of that's in the public records. It's pretty clear who that is. But typically it comes up with either a developer or an applicant or a representative of the applicant wanting to meet with you ahead of time. So
just for clarity, it's only ex parte if it's regarding a particular case that's before.
correct, yes.
Not a general conversation.
Yeah, so if they generally come to you and say, hey, I would love for you guys to look at updating plans, or I'm frustrated by this, or that kind of thing. But if a specific, like for instance, we have a variance on the agenda today. If somebody talked to you about the variance ahead of time, I mean, city staff is fine, but like if an applicant or representative of the applicant talked to you about that and advocated for that, then that would be something you would want to disclose. And then one other real quick thing on, because I have gotten this question in the past, just to clarify. When it comes to conflict of interest and voting on stuff, if something benefits you, that's allowed as long as it's not a specific and unique benefit to you alone, essentially. So for instance, if you vote on something because you think it's better for Treasure Island as a whole, that could benefit you, but it's not a specific benefit. And so in cases where like it's your actual variance coming before the zoning board, that would be something you'd have to recuse yourself because it's your actual variance. So.
Can I ask you a point of clarification?
Sure.
Is there a threshold? So when you say it benefits the entire city as opposed to a single individual, is there some kind of cut score or threshold that's applicable in those instances?
It's usually the specific financial benefit. So if somebody maybe was a contractor or did work out there or had a house that was directly affected, that would be the threshold. Direct affecting is the key. Whereas if it's a generalized benefit, so one of the questions I got from, I forget actually who it was, but one of the members of the zoning board was, if you're wanting to at some point do an application to raise your house, or you are participating in raising of houses, are you allowed to vote on generally on raise? Yes, you absolutely are. The only issue is if you are the actual applicant. Obviously you can't. Or if there's a direct benefit, like you could not be a member of the planning and zoning board and get money to represent a zoning applicant, that type of thing. Does that make sense? How it's very specific? It's not generalized, because generally I hope you're voting to benefit yourself and the community as a whole in that vein. So, but if you ever have specific questions, myself, Mr. Sabatini, or Miss Sabatini, all three of us are available at any time. We all have our cells out there. And if you don't have my cell, happy to give that to you. And please feel free to call us. We're happy to answer anytime.
So if you have a property and you're voting on an ordinance that affects your property, but it also affects 30 other properties.
Yes, no issue. Because there's no direct specific benefit to you. Because again, like if you're, in the same way the city council, if they vote on a trash contract, well, they're covered by the trash contract, but they want good service for everyone. There's no direct benefit, but they certainly couldn't be an employee of the trash company that is applying that kind of thing. Their direct benefit aspect is the main issue. So if you get a incidental collateral benefit, that's totally fine. It's the direct benefit that you're essentially somehow involved in and directly benefiting from it being voted up or down.
So does it only take one other beneficiary aside from the applicant for this to be a generalized benefit?
So I would generally, yes. I mean, that's more of a probably fact-specific case. I wouldn't want probably a specific case, but the biggest thing is like a variance is a very specific thing, right? So if somebody is coming to the board with a variance and someone has been hired to represent them or be a part of that variance, then if there's a direct benefit from that variance being granted, then that would be maybe where someone would want to recuse themselves. But generally, most of the things you guys are voting on, If it's, hey, we think this is a good idea to have a certain thing, or this isn't a good idea, that isn't going to be a direct benefit to anyone, even if incidentally as a result of that, maybe you have a business in town and it does better because now there's a Publix, or it does. That's not direct benefit enough for it to be considered a conflict of interest under Florida statute. That makes sense. So, but again, I'm happy to, just in the sake of time, happy to answer any specific hypotheticals or fact-specific situations that you have questions about. Happy to take those calls at any time. Feel free to reach out to myself or Anthony or Francesca.
Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes, we have none. Status update on prior planning and zoning cases, we usually get that from Jesse Miller. As you can see around town, we don't have any construction, but go ahead, Ross.
So this is the second month in a row that we don't have this sheet, because last month's P&Z got canceled. Did Jesse provide any type of update? Because 3 meetings ago, we were told the Norhaven was going to be coming in front of us for something. I understand that there's some other properties that are in that moratorium. Is that the word? Did I use the right word? In regards to the cycle? Like the Rally, the McDonald's. I understand that those things are still in the pushback area. But can we, and I'm not saying for right now that we need an answer, but for the next P&Z meeting, can we at least have some type of data or content? Because I don't want to go 3 meetings in a row with not having updates on cases.
Yeah. The summary sheet.
Yeah, he'll be back next week, so
Okay.
we can probably email something out
That's
to you
fine.
guys next week when he gets back. We do have, we have a variance that I believe will be coming next time.
Yes.
The one you sent over today. So there is a variance for a single-family home, and then there is a site plan coming for 11295 Gulf Boulevard. It wasn't ready for this meeting, so
Okay.
hopefully
All right.
it'll be ready for the next one. But we can certainly put something together and get it out to you guys next week.
Okay. Thank you.
What was that address again for next month?
The site plan that's in the memo that we got before he left was 11295 Gulf Boulevard.
11295.
And then there's a variance, which is 8576 West Gulf Boulevard.
It's always good to know where these places are.
So those will be coming. But
Okay,
we'll get something out to you next week when he gets back.
Thank you.
Mr.
Hearing
Chairman?
procedures, anything you need to tell us on that, Gavin?
I think I covered it kind of in the, it's a quasi-judicial hearing, especially on the variances. And so in that, what you want to do is objectively hear and then make a determination. And you can't be arbitrary or capricious in your determination. You just can't say, I don't like this, and that's why. You have to have a foundation for a denial, typically, or try to keep it similar to what a courtroom, a neutral arbiter would do. But it's not quite as extreme as a courtroom, and that's why it's the quasi-judicial aspect of it. So.
Okay, could we have anybody who's going to speak at today's hearing, could they raise their right hand and be sworn in?
For everyone that's going to be speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony and evidence that you're about to give before the Planning and Zoning Board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay. Ex parte communication. One of the commissioners did refer this case to me and said, what do we do? And I said, well, you apply for a variance. So that's why we're here today. And that was my contact. So we'll move on to the presentation of the item. 13A, VAR-535-2025-11700 7th Street East variance. Request to section 68541 to allow a proposed 8-foot wide front staircase for an elevated structure to encroach 8 feet into the 15-foot front yard setback. The applicant is here. If you could approach the desk and make your presentation.
Okay, good afternoon. How are you? My name's Alan Dallas.
Or the podium.
This is my lovely wife, Robin. She unfortunately is out on business today, back in Washington, D.C., so she couldn't be here, but I do have my mother-in-law here who is supportive of me today.
Is your mic on?
Is your mic on?
Can you not hear me?
Is the green light on?
Green light? It's on. Okay, all right.
I don't see a green light.
No, it's
No,
on. It's on the back.
He said it's on. You're good.
Is it on? Can you hear me?
No,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll try to speak into this. So my wife Robin and I moved here back in 2020 from Washington, D.C., and maybe this is some information that I just want to provide to you to give you a little feeling for who we are and where we're from. So we decided in 2015 that we wanted to relocate to Florida. After 5 years of searching the West Coast, we decided and picked Treasure Island, Florida. And one of the reasons we selected Treasure Island in support of our police department is we noticed in our travels that the other cities around here didn't have their own police department, but Treasure Island did. And that was something that made us feel very comfortable in moving to Treasure Island. Another thing we loved about Treasure Island was it didn't have the density of a St. Pete Beach and of a Clearwater. And we really enjoyed that. We wanted to be a part of a small town community and to participate in the government and the running of our small town and to have input into that running of the small town. So we came in the middle of COVID in 2020, and Washington, D.C. was on a lockdown. You couldn't even go to your friends' houses and have dinner. You had to stay separate. So it was quite an interesting scenario. We came down here, and wow, the bars were open, the restaurants were open, people were communicating, they were gathering, they were enjoying life. So we loved that idea, and we moved down here. Since we moved here, we've had to deal with many, many storms, and being from D.C., we were never affected by storms of this nature or floods. So we've learned to live with the trauma of hurricane season, right? So here's just a few of the hurricanes. I believe it's a comprehensive list of everything we've seen since we moved here in 2020. So the narrative I've come to you today for is front steps for our new home. So I'm going to run you through the substantial damage letter, but we got a substantial damage letter from the city substantially damaging our house. And as part of that, we were given 4 options: elevate the house, tear it down and rebuild, move the house somewhere else, and I forget what the 4th one was. We'll see here in just a moment. But because we were substantially damaged, I did request the backup data for that substantial damage classification. And so after waiting about 4 months, I finally got a letter in the mail that showed me exactly what the damages were to my house with a breakdown as to what was damaged. And unfortunately, the superstructure, as they call it, and the foundation were damaged, contributing to this classification. So a couple other things I'm going to talk about are the city ordinance 2024-27. I'll get into that in just a moment. So here's the substantial damage letter. You can see, let me see if I have a pointer here. You can see that we did get a substantial damage classification. And the next slide here gives us the 4 options when you were substantially damaged, and because our superstructure was damaged, we were pretty much forced to select rebuild, tear down and rebuild your home. So here you go. This is the complete breakdown of all the damages and percentages for our house, for our home. And at the top there, I've circled the foundation and superstructure were each damaged by 5% each for a total of 10%. Superstructure and foundation are pretty important things when you're lifting a home because you're using the foundation of the prior slab to lift it. So we do not believe that the option for us would be to elevate the home. So some of the supporting ordinances that aren't apples to apples comparison here, but there is City Ordinance 2024-27 codified on January 21st of this year. I understand that this ordinance applies only to elevated and jacked up current homes. However, in our situation, because elevation is not an option for us, our only option is to rebuild a new home. I just ask for your consideration of 2024, which you've already given the capability to encroach on the setback for any home that was jacked up and lifted. And then the second topic I want to talk about is terrain modification setback adjustment factor. And this factor comes into play when you're bringing in fill dirt. So our new home will be elevated 2 feet above the current grade. And if you drive around Treasure Island, you'll see that many of the new homes that are being built are doing exactly that. They're lifting 1.5 feet to 2 feet above grade and then bringing in fill dirt just in the front in order to grade the property up to the garage door. Well, the terrain modification setback adjustment factor with 2 feet of fill gives me exactly 3 foot 2 inches that I'm allowed to have inside of the setback. So I'm asking for 8 feet, which would be an additional 4 foot 10 inches. If anyone has any questions as I'm presenting, please feel free to stop me. You're probably very familiar with these.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Shavlin.
Did you talk to anybody about lifting your house?
Mr. Shavlin, over the past year and through the trauma of being displaced from our home, sure, I'm an engineer by trade. I talked to probably 15 different contractors. I got quotes from 15 different contractors to rebuild the new home. Before that, I spoke to about 4 or 5 different contractors to elevate it. Now, none of them would make a commitment that the home was elevated unless they do a $5,000 assessment of the entire property. So I got about 5 quotes to lift, assuming that the foundation was strong enough to support that lift. If you've seen, I'm sure you've seen the elevations going on around town. They put these big hydraulic jacks under the house and these big beams, and they lift the whole thing slowly up. However, our house was built in 1969, and I've just shown you the data that supported the substantial damage, which said 10% of the structure is
I'm not sure what superstructure is, but I guess your foundation's 5%. So
Sidewalls, like
On
think
that slide,
sidewalls,
that's the superstructure?
trusses that are sitting on top of those sidewalls, things of those natures. And just for the record, I am not a contractor by trade in any means, but I am an expert when it comes to this.
And superstructure, I can only make my own interpretation, but it sounds pretty critical if you ask me, the superstructure of the home. So that was damaged 5%, and the foundation was damaged 5%. So based on that, we were substantially damaged. And that's what brings me here to you today. So the terrain modification, as I mentioned, gives me 3 foot 2 inches. And so I'm asking for an additional 4 foot 10 to put steps. By the way, the rest of the setbacks of the proposed structure are all within where they're supposed to be. I'm simply asking for steps 8 feet into the 15-foot setback. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Dowling?
I was wondering about the setback in the back, because I noticed in back you have the steps coming out and going to the side. All of those steps are within your setback, correct? Okay.
The setback in the rear is
larger.
right in the pool.
Right.
So,
Okay,
and I can only go back 5 feet within the pool.
right.
So-
Yeah, I noticed there's a pool already there, so, okay.
Right, so we're
Thank you.
keeping the pool.
Okay.
So for Mr. Dallas and Marvin, I'll give you the exact definition of superstructure. The portion of the building or structure located above the foundation or base flood elevation, including all structural components such as walls, floors, roofs, trusses, and any other elements above the lowest supporting member being the foundation. You're welcome.
Okay. So here I've just given you an Exhibit E, which is the actual city ordinance 2024-27, which was the ordinance passed in early 2025 that allowed for the encroachment and the setbacks for any home that is jacked up and lifted. So again, I'm building a new home, but I don't have a choice because my superstructure and foundation are damaged. Here's the terrain modification setback adjustment factor. It's in the terrain modification manual, but it's just a detail of, it says that I'm allowed to have stairs not more than 8 feet wide, and I can have them 3 foot 2 inches deep into the setback. So some of the supporting considerations. So while these are not ordinances, they do contribute to my hardship. So Isle of Capri, the 7th Street on Isle of Capri is a unique situation, as far as I can tell, in all of Treasure Island. 7th Street is wider than any other street on Isle of Capri by 10 feet or more. The reason for this, I happen to be, as I mentioned, I'm an engineer, I'm a history buff, I'm a research buff. So I wanted to figure out why. So I did some research, and if you go to 7th Street on Isle of Palm, you'll note that there is a huge grand median with grass and trees and so on. Isle of Palm was built before Isle of Capri. The original intent was to mimic 7th Street on Isle of Capri, to mimic 7th Street on Isle of Palm. And they even had talked about putting a bridge across what I call the Grand Canal, which is the canal that goes between Capri and Palm. However, somebody came to their senses and said, wait a minute, all these waterfront homes are going to want boats. If we put a firm, fixed bridge there, they will have less access or maybe no access at all. So they shelved the bridge and they shelved the center median on 7th Street on Isle of Capri. However, they did not change the easements or the right-of-way. So on 7th Street, from the curb to my property line is approximately 35 feet. On all of the other streets on Palm or Capri, it's 15 feet from the curb to the property line. So on 4th, 5th, and 6th, your front steps are going to be 30 feet conceptually, if they're not within the setback, 30 feet from the curb. On Isle of Capri, on my lot, I have a 35-foot easement and then another 15-foot setback from there, meaning that the house is 50 feet from the curb. So if you were to allow me to put the steps in the front, the steps will terminate at 42 feet from the curb. On all the other streets, the steps are 30 feet from the curb. So I am well within what is normal and usual for the rest of the island. In fact, had the city at the time, when they decided not to go with the center median on 7th Street on Capri, had they reverted to the easements on the rest of the island, we would not be having this discussion today. Any questions about that?
Well, we'll make one quick comment. I went
Okay.
out there the other day with my tape measure, and I just differ a little bit on your numbers, but I see where you're going from. The actual pavement width out there is 32 feet with a 2-foot curb. So you're in the ballpark. We're not
34,
talking,
30, 35, somewhere in that range.
it's 32-foot wide road, but if you throw a curb on each side, then that makes it 36. But I just want to point that out. I did go out there with a tape measure, but I see where you're coming, so we're cool.
Okay.
I'm saving my questions for the end of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Thank you, Mr. Harris. So here is an example. If you look at this picture, my house is circled is in red, and that's 7th Street. The street to the left of me is across the canal. That's 6th Street. if you look at the easement lines between the two streets, you can clearly see that 7th Street itself is a lot wider, and the easements or right-of-ways are much deeper into the property than they are on 6th Street. So this is one of the premises of my discussion. So here's my house explicitly. I don't know if you're aware of this, but on Pinellas County Property Appraiser, there's this cool little tape measure feature where you can just click on 2 spots. It'll tell you what the depth is. So here, you see that the depth from my property line, which is the big white line going in front of the house, is 35.1, and that was using the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's website and their measurement tool. And then the red dotted line is my easement. My 15-foot easement goes to the red dotted line. So I am asking for 8 feet into that setback.
I think you mean the setback, not easement.
I'm sorry, you're right. I just caught myself. So the 35 feet is the easement, and then from there to the red dotted line is my setback.
And I can assume the city's not really taking care of that yard area in the front on that easement
We're not
for you,
doing,
right?
no, Mr.
making
Downing,
sure.
I have to mow that lawn, maintain that lawn,
That's what I figured.
water that lawn.
To make clarification on that, is the homeowner's responsibility to take care of the right-of-way in front of their house.
Oh, I'm well aware. I just, you seem to have a bit more of it than others.
Yeah.
All right, please proceed.
So, did you have a question, Mr. Harris?
No, not at all. We just hate to say this, but believe it or not, we've got to move along because there's a city commission meeting at 4 o'clock in this room.
Okay. All right. So here's an example of with the tape measure for 6th Street to show you the delta there. Here's the current home, and all of the information that Mr. Harris just referenced is right there on this survey. That's a 32-foot street. 35 foot from the curb is my property line, and then 15 feet from that is the easement at the setback. Here's the proposed home. So you can see the steps in the front there. They will encroach 8 feet into the setback. So summary statement, I've mentioned the 2024-27 ordinance. I've mentioned the terrain modification setback. And I've also discussed the differences in the easement right-of-ways on all the other streets that are different from 7th Street. So some of my hardships obviously are Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, which is something that we all went through. All the residents of Treasure Island are dealing with the same issues that I am, including yourselves that live in Treasure Island. It has built character in the residents of Treasure Island. So another topic that I want to address is cost. I'm retired. My wife is working part-time. We moved here, sold everything in Maryland, and moved to Florida. And, you know, we're on a fixed income. I had money set aside for retirement. Well, that money is now going to be used to build my new house. It's not something that I anticipated. So I've had to look for ways to save cost. So one of the ways I can save costs is to buy pre-planned designs for a new home. So I searched exhaustively to find a home that was pre-built. You've probably seen these websites. You can go there, it's got 1,000 different designs. You got to pick the right one. You see the dimensions, you see what the house looks like, some illustrations and depictions. And I can buy those plans for $2,000. And then I have to spend another $7,000 to have them signed, stamped, and sealed for the Treasure Island permit process. So that is approximately $9,000 versus paying architects, and I spoke to about 5 different architects that wanted $50,000 to $70,000 to design a home. So if I want a custom home, it's going to be $50,000 to $70,000 versus 10 or 9. So the cost is certainly something that is of concern for a retiree, and a wife that works part-time. I am also have filed the paperwork to become my own general contractor to hire licensed subcontractors to do the work on the house. So I will simply act as basically a project manager, and all these subs will be licensed, insured, and, licensed to work in the city of Treasure Island. I also had to find a house that was going to be somewhat close to the current footprint. The current house is 25 footprint. This is per Pinellas County property appraiser. The new house is going to be 2543. So it's just going to be a 2-story structure with garage underneath and living space on 1 floor. So it was an exhaustive search to find something that met that criteria. A personal statement is just from my heart. We love Treasure Island. We love the people in Treasure Island. We love our neighbors. We have one neighbor here today. And you know what? Through the course of 2 hurricanes, it brought the community closer together. We discovered the compassion of our neighbors, and we had gratitude for the help that they provided for us, for the moral support that they gave to us. So a personal statement is we love Treasure Island. We love everything about Treasure Island. We don't want to be forced out of our paradise found homestead in Treasure Island. We're still shell-shocked from these events. We're living in a rental home about 4 blocks from the house. As part of the process, I had to go through flood insurance claims, and because the house was substantially damaged, they gave us the max, which was $250,000. And you're probably aware that whether your house is worth $5 million or $1 million, the most you can get is $250,000. So I got the $250,000. The rest of it comes out of my retirement fund. So as I mentioned, the new house is 2543 versus 2525. Here's the current house. We're keeping the pool. Here's the new house. So those steps, everything on that house is within the setbacks, except those front steps. Now, I've investigated, can I move the steps to the side? What can I do? Well, because of those 2 little porticos on either side of the front door, I can't get steps up from the side. And those columns in front of the house are right on the setback line. So 100% of those front steps goes into the setback by 8 feet of the 15-foot setback. Here's a couple other pictures of the house. Now, keep in mind, this house is a pre-planned house. It was actually built down near Port Charlotte. I called the owner. He gave me the grand tour of this house. So we actually got to see the house.
That's cool.
Because he bought the plans before we did. Here's another picture of it. And I just want to end it on one personal note that today I stand before you as a humbled Treasure Islander, asking and appealing to your human element, your human emotions and compassion. Throughout the past several years, my wife and I have had the sorrow of death. We lost 2 fathers. But then we've had the happiness and joy and rebirth of a new baby granddaughter. And we see those fathers in that new life. We've also had the depression and sorrow of sickness and disease. So I had a heart attack 2 years ago. Doctor said I was minutes from death. My wife has been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and recently still recovering from skin grafts for melanoma cancer. But we are in awe of God's miraculous healing. She's almost back to 100%. So we're in awe of that. As Treasure Islanders, we all experienced the devastation and tragedy of 2 hurricanes in a month, within a month. September 11th, or September 26th and October 9th, just a few weeks. And through that, we all experience compassion, gratitude, empathy from and to our neighbors, our Treasure Island family. As Treasure Islanders, we are strong, we're resilient, and compassionate. Together we will rebuild and we will recover. Together we will overcome this adversity. Today I ask for your assistance as we begin the road to our new beginning on our road to recovery.
And thank you. When we're going to, hate to cut you off, but like I said earlier, we do need to
I'm
move
done.
on. I know you're almost done.
Thank you very much.
We got a couple of questions. I'm going to start out real quick. All right, this is for stairways only.
That's right.
One of the conditions that I'm looking at, if we approve this, is a condition for stairways only. You will never ask for anything else, and you will never build anything else other than stairways. You agreeable to that?
I'm agreeable to that, and that's all I'm asking for, sir.
Okay. And Ross, I understand you had a question?
Yeah, I guess I'll start because I'm sure I'll be the bad guy on this one. And a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's anyone that can on this board that can probably relate to your situation, it's me. Identical. Where I think we're going to run into some problems, and I knew that, and I appreciate you calling out what has previously been approved for lifted homes. I knew eventually this was going to come up at some point. There has been applicants prior to you that did not come for a variance that went through the building department asking for similar things, and it was denied. And they've already started their building contracts, whether it's the stairs or that's the air conditioning, the Duke meter platforms. I'm definitely going to struggle to be a yes on this. I truly am, and I do apologize because I do always try to find a way to yes. Couple of the questions that I had from you, because you had mentioned that you were investigated from the steps perspective, and you had spoke with some architects. So on the plans, and I'm not trying to interrogate you, but from the plans that were presented, how many architects did you take them to and say, could you modify these steps to get me from this level to the thing?
Approximately 5.
Approximately 5.
Yes.
And all 5 said it can't be done. And again, I'm not trying to interrogate you.
All right, then let me clarify my answer.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I understood the question properly.
So these are shelf plans, correct? You had said that you had scattered the internet for
That's right.
stock plans that you could just drop onto a parcel.
That's
okay?
right.
And mind you,
From the
again,
Seder design.
I am not a builder. I am not an architect. I am not an engineer. But I am a Treasure Island resident, and I am going through this exact same type of process. I've actually explored everything that you've done there, explored everything from a lifting perspective with contractors. I've explored designing a custom home, a stock home, of the TMI, everything. Again, not my sole responsibility as my occupation, but being on this board and being educated and living through this experience, and also sharing with my fellow board members. The stock plans that were presented on this application, you said that you had investigated with architects on modifying to put stairs in that would be inside the setback.
So let me clarify that, Mr. Sanchez.
Okay.
I found these plans online, and when I found them, I was not aware at that moment that these steps were not included in the footprint that was presented to me on the Seder Design website.
Okay.
I called Dan Seder. He said, everything in that house is included in the footprint that we've provided to you, which is all within the setbacks. He said, except those stairs. So at that point, I had already been investigating, and what I had done was I took these plans, and there was plans you could download on their website, even before you paid for it. And I took those designs, so it's apples to apples, and I handed them to probably 15 different contractors and asked for a proposal for what it would cost to build this house. At that time, I did not know that the steps were not included in the footprint that was provided to me until I made that phone call. As soon as I found this out is when I started this process for a variance request for the front steps.
Okay. So I'm sure you're aware that variances just in general are very difficult. They're reviewed by this board to see if a hardship does exist. And I know that someone will probably also make that comment. Great presentation again. I'm a little, your statement about $50,000 to $70,000 for a 2,600 square foot home, a little bit on the higher end.
I was shocked as well.
A little bit on the higher end. I know that's on the higher end. I know it is.
Okay.
So again, I know that you said that you searched the internet. I'm just going to be, it's very going to be tough for me to vote yes on this solely because it is something that we knew that was going to come up when we did the initial ordinance, and you're talking about this street. I get the street, I get the setbacks, I get how it was designed. It's going to create some other types of requests that are similar from a stairs perspective. I don't have any additional questions at this time. I don't want to take too much time, but thank you.
All right, let's go with Marvin. Your question.
So the plans that you presented, were these the plans that the homeowner that you visited used to build his home?
He built that identical home.
Okay. And so those weren't Dade County, right? Those plans?
It was in Placida, Florida, which is on the coast. I think it's called Charlotte County.
Yeah, I know where it is, but what I'm saying is you talked about building to Dade County specifications in your narrative.
Yes.
I don't think those were Dade County, right?
I can't say that for sure.
Okay.
But I can tell you that in my research, Dade County obviously has the most stringent
I get that.
laws or construction
I understand
techniques.
that. So
I will be building this house to Miami-Dade.
Okay,
including
so
the Miami-Dade glass. I'm going to fill every cell in the
I get
concrete
it.
block.
That's not my point. My
Okay.
point is that you mentioned that he went through a hurricane, Ian, I think.
That one
Unscathed,
did go
right?
through Ian.
Right. And from what I can tell, I don't think he built to Dade County. Did you notice, Richard? Could you tell from those plans or not?
I really didn't pick up on that. Doesn't really matter. I
Well,
mean,
it does
you know.
matter because my point is, why spend the extra money to build the Dade County specs when this house was unscathed with Ian? And you're spending that money. You're also, I noticed, a raised concrete floor. That's a big expense.
Well, Marvin, you're getting into the weeds.
Well, what I'm saying is,
We're talking about a variance.
I get it, but he's complaining about his expenses, how expensive it is to build a custom home, and I'm saying you can save money on building that home and pay for those architectural fees, build custom and build within the setbacks. So I have a hard time saying yes with this too, although I understand where you're coming from, but I've got issues.
Well, thing is, economics doesn't come into the issue at all.
I
And
understand, but
and once
Mr.
again,
Shopland.
this is for you, Ross. Each house stands on their own. But anyway, Grant, you said you had a question.
I did have a quick question. You did comparatives between 7th and 6th, but I was curious if this variance is granted and the stairs extend into the setback, how does that compare to the homes along 7th? Are you now going to have the house that extends farthest out towards the street?
Just
the stairs.
Just the stairs.
That's what I mean,
Correct.
just the stairs.
Just the
So the
stairs.
stairs are now going to extend further beyond any other element of any other house on 7th?
So luckily, I have my neighbor here today. And if I recall correctly, your steps protrude a little bit further as well, do they not? And you've got a variance request for those.
Yes.
We'll come up with public
Mr.
comment
Sokolowski is about
after the
3 doors
city
down from me, 2 doors down.
presentation.
And your steps extend out further than these would?
Yeah.
No?
We'll have public comment after the city presentation. Please, let's finish this up. We got to
Okay,
move
so let
along.
me ask this gentleman, will your steps extend out further than any other on the street? That's my question.
I have not gone with a tape measure and measured every one of them.
Okay.
So I felt a little weird about that because I don't want to go in front of someone's house that I may not know and get out there with a tape measure.
Fine. Thank you.
So I'd like to address Mr. Shavlin's question or statement, is that, Mr. Shavlin, after you've lived, which we all have, my wife and I were there when the storm hit, you say, I want to build the strongest possible house that I can. Can I afford it? I don't know. I have not gotten pricing for the additional cells being filled, for the concrete, for the additional window hurricane resistance from Miami-Dade. When I get those quotes, I may have a change of heart. I won't change the look of the house, but I could use cheaper glass. So the cost is very much a consideration. If I can afford it, I want a strong house for the protection of my wife and myself.
I think our codes we have good codes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we would want that for you and your family as well. Unfortunately, it's
Well, most of the state of Florida adopted the Miami-Dade code anyway. It's in the Florida code. Thank you, Mr. Dallas. If we could have the city presentation now.
Do you need to look up here?
Yeah. I got you.
Okay.
do we know who this is?
I don't know who that is. I guess he'll,
All right.
hopefully he'll introduce.
Yeah, while we're getting set up, I just wanted to introduce myself.
Yeah, that'd be
if
great.
you haven't been here earlier, I'm Louis Cerna, filling in for Jesse Miller, and I'll do my best to fill his shoes today.
And I'm sorry, you're a city employee or?
Contract
you're a
employee, so
contractor
as needed.
working- And you've been working as a contractor for TI, you're not just here today to fill in for?
No, it's
Jesse.
been years. We've had a relationship for years, so.
Just hadn't seen you before. Thank you.
Thank you for your services.
Thank you.
Let me just move this out of your way. I have to keep that.
That wasn't the only one.
Grant, in review of just Google Maps, I mean, I don't see anything that's like,
Okay, thank you. All right, so as you know, this request is for a variance to allow the 8-foot wide stairs to encroach 7.9 feet into the 15-yard front setback. At this aerial of the house that you've seen, the property has a land use of residential urban, and it is zoned RU 75. So the subject property contains a house. The applicant is seeking to demolish this house, as you heard, to construct and meet the current flood elevation standards. And as you heard, the structure will require stairs to access the first habitable floor, which are proposed to extend into the right-of-way, or into the setback, rather. This is the existing survey of the house. You probably can't see it, but it shows the current house is 15.2 feet from the front setback line, and the rear is about 47.4 feet to the rear. The proposed structure would still be 15.2 feet in the front with the stairs encroaching into the setback. The rear setback would be reduced to 44.9 feet. So we reviewed this for the criteria for variances, as you're familiar with Section 70-221, and I'll go through our findings briefly. The first is that the variance is in fact a variance as set forth within the land development regulations and is within the province of the board or commission based upon the opinion of the city manager or his designee. So our finding is that this request is set forth in the land development regulations and under the purview of the planning and zoning board. The second is special conditions or circumstances exist which are peculiar to the building, structure, or land for which the variance is sought and do not apply generally to the building, structure, or lands within the same district. You heard the testimony about the building having to be, the new building having to be elevated. The applicant also cited the right-of-way width along 7th Street South, which is 100 feet wide. 60 feet is the typical right-of-way width on Capri Isle. The wider than typical right-of-way width generally places the 15-foot minimum setback 20 feet further back from the roadway edge of pavement, which would reduce the visual impact of the proposed variance. Note, however, that the lot depth and buildable areas along 7th Street are not reduced as a result of the 100-foot right-of-way width. This unique circumstance does apply to all properties along 7th Street East on Isle of Capri. And as I think the question was raised, this would result in the setbacks, or the stairs extending further into the setbacks than the other properties along this roadway. 3, strict application of the provisions of the land development regulations would not permit the applicant reasonable use of the building, structure, or land. Strictly speaking, this house does contain a single-family residence. The applicant strict application of the setback standards would require the applicant to move the building 7.9 feet closer to the waterfront setback, which would not require a variance. The proposed waterfront setback is 44.9 feet, while the minimum waterfront setback is 25 feet. The applicant could also reduce the proposed building size slightly in order to accommodate a portion of the exterior stairs to access the second level. Another alternative to the encroachment would be to design a switchback staircase that parallels the house for the last run, which would require a smaller variance request. So basically, there are some other development options. 4th, peculiar conditions and circumstances existing are not the result of actions by the applicant's agent, or the applicant's predecessor in title. Our finding is the variance is a result of the applicant's design of the proposed house, which includes the proposed encroachment. Number 5, the variance proposed to be granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the building, structure, or land. As I mentioned in my previous comment, the applicant does have the option of moving the house closer to the water, or reducing the size, or redesigning the stairs. So there are some other options that would make our determination that this is not the minimum variance. Oops. Number 6, owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement would result in unnecessary hardship. Special conditions to be considered pursuant to this section of the land development regulations shall include, but not be limited to, the following circumstances: redevelopment, substandard lots, neighborhood character, public facilities, architectural and/or engineering considerations. This is a redevelopment property. There was a house that existed on this site, and as you know, the elevation does require stairs to access the lowest habitable floor. This is not a substandard lot. The neighborhood consists of single-family structures which were primarily built at grade and on or close to the setback lines. This variance would, however, allow the stairs to be further into the setback than the surrounding properties. Public facilities, that's not applicable. Architectural and/or engineering considerations. The requested variance is related to the design of the stairs. As we indicated, we've noted that the proposed stairway setback is not the minimum necessary to permit access for the proposed structure, and the applicant can move the proposed structure or redesign the building or stairs to meet the setback requirements or require a smaller variance. Number 7, granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter. The granting of this variance will not be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter because, as we stated earlier, it does not comply with the other criterion. And then granting of the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. The granting of this variance will likely have minimal impacts on the neighborhood and would not otherwise be detrimental to the public welfare. So our recommendation, based on those criteria, is for denial for the 7.9 feet encroachment into the front yard, based on the analysis of the criteria of Section 70-221 above, finding that they have not been substantially satisfied and that unnecessary hardship does not exist, as this request could be minimized by redesign. Again, our recommendation is for denial based on the criteria of Section 70-221 and Section 6835F2. And I'd be glad to answer your questions.
Okay, who has questions for
Yeah,
the,
I have a question.
for the city
It's
staff?
Erna, Mr. Erna?
Cerna, with an S.
Oh, Cerna, okay. Cerna, I just wrote it down. By any chance, hard question, are you, in the report, were there any other variances that you could find on 7th that were up and down that street?
Yeah,
that were on file?
Not to my knowledge. I did not do that specific.
Okay.
Did not do that specific
Okay.
research, but this is sort of a unique case.
Okay. All right, I'm good. I actually have a solution for the applicant, so I'm good. I'm good.
Mr. Cerna, I really question about the easement on this, on 7th Street on Capri being 100 feet versus
You mean the
60.
right-of-way?
Or, sorry, right, thank you, right-of-way being 100 feet versus typically 60 on the rest of the island. Is there any purpose to that 100-foot right-of-way being that large?
I heard the history that the applicant mentioned. Sounds reasonable, but I don't know of any reason why you'd want a 100-foot right-of-way. I don't think this road is ever going to be widened or
it's
anything
your
like
opinion
that.
that 100-foot right-of-way is not actually, wouldn't be required if you were doing it today. Is that your opinion?
Correct, yeah. Typical right-of-way in residential areas is 50 to 60 feet.
Okay. And this
It is
Go ahead.
oversized, and the urban legend, I don't know if it's true or not, but it is out there. I've heard it is actually go from Capri to Palms all the way to Paradise.
And I'm sure you have no plans to do anything with that right-of-way that you're aware of.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, and I doubt that there would be anything there.
And then one thing that I'll just add, not a question here, is just a comment that 7th Street on Isle of Palms has the median and a larger, the two streets are separated, but the city actually does take care of the lawn area and the landscaping on that part of the right-of-way, which is a little different in this case where you have all of the residents taking care of, a larger right-of-way than what is the others are taking on Isle of Palms or Capri. So it's just an interesting situation on that particular street. That's all.
Okay, Marvin.
On number 5, you talk about the size of the lot would permit the proposed building footprint to be moved closer to the waterfront rear of the property without requiring a variance, but that doesn't take into account his pool, does it?
I don't know if it's possible to move the building 8 feet closer to the pool. He does have some separation.
Right.
I know there's structural
Doesn't look like
issues.
it to me, but I just wondered.
Yeah, we
This
didn't.
makes it sound like you can do it, but.
It's an option, I guess, to be considered, as is reducing the size of the building itself.
I've got an easy solution because I've lived through this exact scenario. I will say a glass half full approach is it is a rectangle lot or a square lot, which is a lot more. Is it rectangle? Yeah, it's a rectangle. When it comes to the footprint, as we all know, lots in this town can be different across all the different communities. I will tell you, I understand that you're wanting to use stock plans, but a simple, you could talk to the architect or even themselves, is you could actually remove the stairs in the front and create a foyer on the ground floor that you can walk right under the balcony into the foyer, and then because you automatically have stairs that are inside your foundation floor. So I can tell you from my experience in designing a house that we tried to do this, and a lot of times we ran into the stairs cannot go over the setback, and we actually came to the conclusion that that is the route that we are going to go because we didn't want to burn our front area just on stairs. So again, I know it's a little bit of an edit. I'm sure that these plans, looking at it, there's already stairs in the garage floor that go up. I know that if you're looking at that picture, you could remove those stairs, you could walk in the foyer down below, and you're inside your house.
And it probably wouldn't have to be moved 8 feet. You're only talking
Take them out completely.
moving it 4 feet because there is the
No stairs on the front in general. You create a lobby.
Oh, you're talking about doing it that direction. I was thinking just in general pushing the house backward. Okay.
But you take the stairs off, you make the balcony in the front, right underneath it.
Right.
You got a front door, you enter your foyer, there's already stairs there on the plans, you're inside your house.
It is one way.
It's called a foyer that's inside your garage. Just an idea, not an architect, just an idea.
Denial.
Well, wait a minute. We're getting ahead of ourselves, Marvin. We're not to that point yet. No, it's not yet. He's talking. Anyway, the situation is, any other questions of staff?
No.
Seeing none?
Not at this time. Yeah.
All right,
thank you.
seeing none, we go to the public. We have no cards. I know there was a neighbor that might want to say you need to fill out a card if you're going to speak. Do you have anything to say? We'll take that as a no. Anyway, Mr. Dallas, here's your time for rebuttal. If you would like to approach the podium, don't speak from your seat. Approach the podium and say what you got to say.
I would like to say that we have pretty much looked at every option, again, to modify the current house. It's just a home that's pre-planned and pre-engineered and pre-packaged. The first question is yes. Why don't you move the whole building back 8 feet? Okay?
Or 4. Because
4 feet wouldn't be enough for the stairs. But the problem is, and it's a unique situation apparently, because there was another ordinance change by the city of Treasure Island that has told me that when I demolish a house, I don't have to demolish the pool. And that was an exception for this storm situation. Apparently, normally you have to remove the pool. We are going to have to put a deep foundation into this house, which requires those 10-inch diameter telephone poles to be pounded with a big machine into the ground, possibly up to 35 feet.
Right.
And I am being told that that pounding can be felt 2 houses away when they're doing it. And I spoke to an engineer about this, and he recommends that we keep the house as far away as possible from that pool. They accept no liability if that pool is cracked because they're forcing these pilings down. They said what we can do is we can pre-drill the hole so the pilings will start a little easier until they get down below the pool or the water table. Right. So I just wanted to say that we have investigated moving the house back, and we didn't want to get too close to the pool, and that was a recommendation of the foundation folks. The other thing is, Mr. Sanchez, you had a suggestion and a great idea. If you take away the front steps as they are now, you take away the character of the home. We selected that home to mesh with the character of our neighborhood. The character of our neighborhood is old Florida. And so we selected a coastal Key West style. Versus, I have seen a lot of new houses going up that are the squared off things, and they look like a bunch of boxes stacked up in some regard. They don't have the character of the Key West coastal style, which I believe, and my wife and I believe, matches the character of our neighborhood. And remember, we were trying to match the square footage. If you put those staircases inside, then you've taken away 4 by 8, 32 approximately square feet of walking space with inside the house. Figure 8 foot, 4 foot wide inside is what you talked about, right, Mr. Sanchez?
In the garage floor, it's called a foyer.
Right, but then they have to go.
You already have stairs that go up to your.
There's a stairs inside the house that go up, and there's stairs that go down from the front landing inside the front door, yes.
Okay, thank you. I have one letter.
I got a question, Richard.
And I have a letter, and I'm going to read it, and then you can ask a question. To whom it may concern, it's from Jonathan Fuss, regarding the variance at 11700 7th Street East for the 8-foot setback extension. I believe this should not be granted. When I purchased my house, I had to abide by the rules for setbacks and had to build my garage due to a 2-foot setback overage. A few years after purchasing, I asked if I could get a variance for about 6 feet to extend my garage. I was told that that fell into the required setbacks, and they wouldn't approve that either, so I never applied for the variance. Everybody should be treated equally. Jonathan Fuss, 11950 5th Street East, Treasure Island. Make note that it's on 5th. Go ahead, Gary, and then I'll finish my comment.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, so
sir.
that's on, that letter is from someone on 5th
Fifth.
Street, not
Not 7th, 5th.
7th.
And that's part of my point. But go ahead,
Okay,
Gary. I
thank
want
you.
you
Sir,
to
how
get...
far are you going now with your geo study? Having to put your, how far down did you have to go?
I have not had that done yet because the recommendation from those contractors that do the foundation work recommend that the current house be demolished first, and they take those corings where the current house sits.
That looks good. You could consider helicoils foundation
Gary,
and move that thing
Gary,
back.
We're talking about a variance. I've been told to move this thing along because we got to get out of here.
Well,
So
can I-
we don't care about the damn pilings.
Can I make a comment?
If as long as it's about the variance.
It's
We
about
need
the
to stay
variance,
on
and it's about the
subject
way
here.
we're handling this variance. I just think our chair is trying to cut this off in a short way. I think we should be allowed full discussion. This is a pretty important
No,
thing.
we're gonna have full
If the city
discussion.
council has to wait 15 minutes for their meeting, so be it.
Well, that's
Let's
fine.
let's just
and
keep
once
this
again,
thing-
I will say, we are here to talk about variance, not foundations.
I agree with that. So let's just be a little kinder. Thank you.
Go ahead, Marvin.
I disagree with you. The city is saying that we should not allow this because it can be redesigned. That's pretty much what I'm saying, and that's what Ross is saying, and I think they're right. And it may be an easy fix if you get the right architect, because Ross's idea is great. So,
Any other questions, comments? With that, we will close the public hearing. And if you would have a seat, public hearing is now closed. We'll have a discussion. I'm going to start it out just because the one thing that I keep coming back to on this one is this urban legend, and I'm going to call it that because God knows it was a stupid idea to build a bridge from Capri to Palms to Paradise. But there's no other reason for this road to be have a 100-foot right-of-way. With my measurements, the stairway would end 39 feet behind the back curb. The reason I'm talking about this guy's letter on 5th is because he's on 5th. It's a 60-foot right-of-way, same situation. The stairs would terminate 23 feet from the back curb, 16-foot difference. I mean, to me, it's one of these situations where if it had been a house and you wanted to build a house 8 feet closer to the road to get more square footage, the answer is definitely no. I've been consistent for my 12 years on this, 15 years on this board, or how about 11 years on this board, saying setbacks for additional house area are definite no, especially if they went into the side yard. Backyard, not so much. Front yard, I don't like that idea either. I have had a history of turning those down. This is stairwell. And quite frankly, if you look on page 21 of your packet, I happen to like the grand staircase look. And that is my situation, along with the fact that that's a 100-foot right-of-way. I just don't think it's that big a deal. It's one of these things, and I was scolded for using this term earlier, but I'm going to do it anyway. No harm, no foul. What's the big deal? I mean, I know it can be done, Ross. I know it's hard to prove a hardship. Matter of fact, there's no hardships at all in this town. But it's one of those situations where we all had a hardship when we got beat up by storms. It may happen again. But I think this house looks good compared to some of the garbage that's currently being designed in this city with the way of sugar cubes. And I know that we do not take architectural design into account. But once again, I like somebody who wants to build something nice. So that's my reason for support. Any other comments? Go ahead, Chris.
Any other comments? Okay. I don't have any comments. I was just making sure that if I make a motion, then I don't want to cut anyone off.
Yeah, no, I have comments. First, Mr. Dallas, thanks for your very good presentation and the heartfelt. You have the heart you have and your wife have for Treasure Island as we all do, and you have been through a hardship as most of us have. To varying degrees. It is a hardship for you to have to rebuild this house, or actually rebuild a completely new house in your case, and you're not able to elevate. The city and this board together have done a number of things to help those that are elevating their houses, to allow some encroachment into the setbacks. And unfortunately, we didn't make, I think, some amends for those that are having to rebuild. That is part of the hardship. It is costing you more if you have to make any of these changes. I think you're in a very unique situation because what you're asking for is not even 8 feet. You're really asking for 4 feet into this right away, since you get an extra close to 4 feet because you're elevating under the TMM rules. So, you're asking for this 4 feet, and it's a special situation where the right-of-way is much larger. I think it's already stated by staff that in terms of changing the neighborhood, you're not really having minimal impact on the neighborhood character as a whole by just going 4 feet effectively into that setback, because you have, and I think part of that is true because you have a 100-foot right-of-way in this case. I'm not proposing that this board move to change that right-of-way across the board. I think some compromise and amends to reduce the hardship on the Dallases, as Richard has mentioned, to possibly have some criteria on this that just if we were to vote to allow this just for the staircase, that it would be only for that staircase, and that it would not change anything in terms of future building on that particular lot or have impact on other lots up and down 7th Street. So that's where I kind of stand on this one. It's just, I understand the hardship. Don't want you to have to rebuild your pool. You're already in a hardship case. That's just going to add to it. So I think this is one of those times where this board can have a little bit of discretion and allow a small amount of setback or encroachment into that. Thank you.
The one thing that I do want to clarify is this right-of-way kept hitting me in the face. I mean, the difference of 39 feet behind the back curb to the terminal of the steps versus 23. It's a 16-foot difference. If this guy lived on 6th or 5th, I went out there with my tape measure to make sure I was seeing it right. My wife usually thinks I'm nuts, but I went out there and measured it all just to make sure that it was correct, and it is correct. So in this case, a little leeway needs to happen, but like I said before, this board generally does not grant any variances for enlarging a house. I don't like that at all, and my comment has always been the same. Customize the house to fit the lot. Don't try to modify the lot to fit the house.
I think we're all under hardship. I just don't want to make it any more of a hardship than it already is on you for this minor thing.
Anyway, with that, any other comments? None here. Whoever makes the motion, what I would like to do, it helps keep the provision. Make a motion for approval with the condition that this will be a stairway variance only, and only 8 feet wide. And of course, you can vote against it, but it's always hard to say yes for no. It's if you vote, or if you make a motion to approve and then say no, then that is a definite no. Do you have any problem, Vice Chair, if you make that motion for me? Yeah. Or anybody.
I'd be happy to make a motion.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve variance 000-535-2025 with the condition that it is only applicable as stated within the variance for this front stairwell and will not be applicable in any other way.
Okay, motion by Christopher Downing. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Gary Potenciano.
And just to clarify, there's no precedential value to a variance across the neighborhoods because by definition, it is a specific and unique facts and
Right.
circumstances. So you can add the condition for that property if it's rebuilt, but you don't need to add any language related to other properties because you can't really. It's not.
Right, I was only adding the
Yeah, I
language
just
for
wanted to clarify
specifically
that
too.
point for just in general, if there was anyone who had questions about that, because a variance is very much a case-by-case situation.
So if they rebuild, then that variance will be in effect for the stairs only?
Correct.
That's the way I've
If this
motioned it,
happens,
yep.
if, God forbid, this home were destroyed and it wanted to rebuild for this home only.
Right, correct, because it's, the variance is being granted for specifically the stairs and not for the extension of the building in general. And that language should be reflected in, if passed, should be reflected in the minutes and in the paperwork that the city provides to them. And so that that variance can run with the land for a future.
I think,
Thank you. With that, Tia, could we have a roll call vote?
Valerie Cree? Gary Potenziano?
I think it's a minor request. Aye.
Ross Sanchez?
No.
Chris Downing?
Yes.
Grant Smith?
Yes.
Marvin Shavlin?
No.
Richard Harris?
Yes. Thank you, board. That passes 5-2. Go get your building permit. Anyway, moving on. Sorry to be pushing along. I kept getting told to get the heck out of here because they're having an emergency meeting. That's another issue. I know. But this way, they asked it for me to get out of here by 3. Regardless, public comment for non-agenda items. We're going to have a meeting of the city commission to talk about the train modification manual at 4. I will attend. If y'all want to attend, since we heard so much about it, stick around. Reports and comments of city attorney, staff, and board members. Staff already told me they didn't have any comments.
I'd like to go on the, go ahead, Marvin.
I was just wondering if we could have, at the next meeting, we could discuss development orders and how they work, how we can benefit. We may have one coming up with the hotel. And I think it'd just be a good conversation to see what's the best way to approach it.
So basically, a overview, development orders 101 and different legal options, is that?
Right,
kind of
and do we
briefed by
need
the-
to have guidelines set up, or do we need to be talking about guidelines, or, or do we just wait until they come with plans and then we, so I just think we
certainly
ought to
do
talk
that.
about it.
Is that the
So the
desire of the?
comprehensive plan review that was submitted on a previous application, I think is now back.
Right, I know it has another reading.
Correct.
I get it.
I also, at the same time, it was part of my notes, was Kimley Horn was approved from a budget perspective in the second to last commission meeting. And I love that the consultant just stood right up and walked right out after the approval when we had all the stuff following right after it. Not in this meeting. So was Kimley Horn, do we know if Kimley Horn is going to be present at our next LPA meeting? I would have thought they were going to be present at this meeting.
They were supposed to be here today, so they've been late. And we had asked them to present this month. And they didn't, obviously.
Well, she had to get
I don't know why we didn't have a meeting.
Well, they had, my understanding is that they had to get the commission's approval for the additional work that Kimley Horn provided an RFP.
Okay.
So now that that is approved, and everyone's on this Kimley Horn train, whatever.
Right.
But part of updating our LDRs,
Got to have them, yeah.
the comprehensive plan has to be done first. So, and I know that and I would like to hear if we can give some feedback to Kimley Horn prior to their presentation to us about LDRs. I want to make sure that they are well aware of what is going on in this city to where they come here and they are not surprised in regards to what we have pending, whether it be an ordinance or a project, because that is important in regards to how we are continuing to move forward. I know that a lot of us have questions, whether it comes to impacts, but I think at the same time, we're all collectively here trying to say how, like Marvin was saying, how can we help get this thing going. Because right now we're not going, and I'm not trying to go to fast pace. I'm just saying in general, we need some guidance from that.
Yeah, I'll talk to him. I know the scope of work, the first step in that is actually a joint workshop between the LPA and commission, and we are right now just finalizing a date for that. So I was going to mention it, but we don't have the date nailed down, so I was going to let you know after the fact. But it will be next month. And it will include all you guys and the commission. That's the first step on this one.
So that's why we didn't have an LPA meeting this month, because we're what, the next step is that joint meeting? That's what I'm trying to.
I didn't have anything to bring for LPA for ordinances or anything like that, and we just got the contract approved with them. So we're still working out the details on what that means. So I didn't have any ordinances or anything for LPA. So
Thanks.
But I will be getting back with you guys very soon on the date for that. So I'll probably send that in the email when I shoot you the projects.
Will Joan be in those meetings, the LPA meetings?
Yes, she should be part of it.
Okay.
Yes.
So my ask to the city and to the staff is moving forward, when there is something from this board that goes to the city commission, that Joan or someone from city staff presents that to the commission. One of the most recent things that we talked about on this board that we voted for it to move forward, went to the city commission, and only the applicant stood up and presented their case. There was no feedback whatsoever from Joan, our economic developer. So I don't know if I have to make a specific ask or request, but I thought in that moment we really let ourselves down by not having Joan present how this can impact or how it can't impact, because I think that that's a lot of the questions that are out there.
It made it look like it was an applicant pushing all the development.
Correct. There was zero city input.
No, I would second that. I don't think you have to make a motion for that. You're asking, and I think
I'm kindly asking for Joan, and I don't know. So I mean, that was one of my topics for today.
Through consensus, if there's objection.
I don't think there's any objection to that, right?
You would do a motion, but if there's consensus of the board that you want that, then that can be.
Because these things that we're deciding on or that we're putting in front of the commission is deciding on are impacting business development without question. And obviously the business development that's out there and the funds that can come from it, whatever it may be, she is talking to those people, and it'd be great to have her feedback as those things are being discussed amongst the public through a staff member with the commission that's in place. Okay. Yeah. I'm not like screaming at you. I'm just. I think there's people that are passionate about this town. I'm one of them, and so I'm not like being disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, I thought it was really awkward that no staff presented any type of feedback to the commission.
And one of the comments, I'll be quick. One of the comments is, we do have a comprehensive land use plan. And what we do not have is an economic development plan. And that's what a lot of folks are looking for. What's going to happen and how does it get done economically? And the good thing is, the guys at the Thunderbird have enough money to do their hotel, but there are potentials out there. We've heard them all, the private-public partnership,
Lots of opportunity.
TIF financing, that kind of thing.
The city owns a lot of waterfront land.
And they do. And I will say this, Chris, I actually had lunch with the Public Works Director. God. Anyway, he did a nice drawing, because he knows AutoCAD, of that area. And it looked good. And it included private development on that piece of city property. So there are potentials, and there are possibilities.
Did you tell him to come in for a site plan for his fence and his warehouse that he put on 108?
Supposed to be temporary, Ross. Supposed to be.
Can you share that with us, though? What you have from him?
I didn't get it.
Oh, you didn't get it.
I saw it on computer screen.
Okay. All right. I'll ask him for it then.
I'm not sure he wants to release it. It's just his idea.
It's his idea. That's all right.
How to accommodate things, and it's just his idea.
We're talking about Gary, right?
Pardon me?
The Public Works Director.
Oh, Gary Volonek. The thing
is, sure we're talking about the same guy. Okay.
He, it was his idea.
Yeah.
But has it gone any further than his idea?
No. We need
not
good
to my
ideas.
knowledge.
So,
anyway, moving on. The next meeting is October 16th. Hope we all can make it. Have some more fun. Anything got from anybody else?
Point of clarification, so did you guys want the development order overview, and how long do you want that to be? Roughly 5-10 minute overview?
That'd be good.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Everyone's good with
Something
that?
short, yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. We
Well,
will.
we,
And thanks for coming today.
Thank you. Yeah,
so
always
Anything else?
amazing view, you know. hard to beat.
October 16th,
Yes.
okay, and 2 p.m. planning and zoning, and then
2 p.m. It sounds like we're going to have a P&Z meeting, and if we can have an LPA, because we need to move this city forward. We all agree on that. I mean, let's face it,
Amen.
right over there is our central business district. It's a disaster, and there's no doubt about it. Let's plan on this board helping any way we can to move this city forward. And with that, let's have a motion to adjourn. So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, guys, and sorry about trying to push things along. As you